Alright, so we're ready to get rolling on our next step, 201. We have our repo, everything is good. We can, just for the heck of it, run a git status, make sure we look good there. Let's clear that up and just go ahead and jump over here to Dreamweaver. Make sure we're on the right branch in Dreamweaver, and we are. We're in the same folder that we are with our commander, so that's there in Dreamweaver. Let's go ahead, take a look at what we're doing, where we're starting at, where we're going to. As far as right now, we're in our 2xx, and this is how things look right now. Everything, if we notice, what we're going to be focusing on is taking love, who, challenges, you, and flipping these from HTML to PHP pages. And that's all we're going to do in this lesson. We're doing small bites. So what will we end up with when we're done is, if we come in here and we look, we'll end up, these will be PHP pages, and we'll be using the same header and footer in all those pages. So we're going to cover some includes, do a little bit with variables, but for the most part, pretty simple step, and we'll go ahead and we'll get started now. And of course, that's our 2xx server. This is our local host. Same thing, we're on love, who, challenges, you, and wonderful. So let's go over to Dreamweaver and let's open up our index.php. Let's start there. Now, the first thing that we want to pay attention to inside our index.php file is the fact that we have our header and our footer and all these different things that are making up our file. They're very common throughout our website. So the big thing that we really need to do at this point is get these all this code out, because we have the exact same code in every one of our pages as far as from the header up. There are some variations, and we'll work on them as we do different pages. That's why we're only doing a couple pages at a time, because some of them actually have stuff in there that we're going to need, and we'll learn how to do that with PHP. But for right now, what we really need to do at this point is go ahead and get that code and isolate it somewhere that we actually can just call that code into our page and reuse it for all of our pages. And the way that we do that is we're going to create what we call an include file. So we're going to come up here, and people do it all different. I'm just going to put an include folder, a common folder that you'll see in PHP sites all the time. And then inside of there, I'm going to create a new file. And what I'm going to call this is header.inc.php. And the reason we're calling it header.inc.php is because it's going to be the header, the top of all of our pages. It's an include. We're going to call it an include. That doesn't have to be there. It's just a nice way in coding to be able to see what you're doing and know what you're doing. And then, of course, it's going to be a PHP page. And the way that we're going to do this is simply grab from the closing header tag all the way to the top PHP. And we're going to cut that out. We're going to save it. And then we're going to go into our header include. And we're going to replace all that with the code that we copied. And if we go and we look at our server now, if we go and look at our local host, of course, if we go to the home page, it's basically, it's not really blowing up, but we've lost all the styling, we've lost all the connections to things and stuff like that. And there's that's because we cut it out and we're going to use it. So the cool part is, at this point, what we can do is we can see how this include works. And what we're going to do is a requier. So we're going to come in here. So in PHP, we have two different common ways of pulling. We want to pull this content from our header file into the top of this index file. And we have two ways. One is to include, or we can require. Now, the big difference, and what we're going to do actually, is what's called a require once. There's include once and require once, and include and require. The reason we're going to do this is we're going to say, hey, if by using require, what happens is if it cannot find this file, it will error out. It will just stop the page from working. It'll stop everything. It won't yield anything. Once, because if we accidentally got this line in here twice, we don't want 2 headers up there. So that's essentially what we're using the require once for. Now if I hit save, if you see that little pop-up, remember I have auto push set up in at Dreamweaver, so it's automatically pushing it up to my server as well. But now if we come out and refresh, we can see that we got everything back. And the reason that we got everything back is because basically what we took out of the page and put in the header include PHP page is now being pulled in. The server is pulling it in and injecting it into our page here. So of course, like that, the next thing that we want to do is we know that we're going to do this with the footer as well. And so we can see everything in these pages basically stays the same after the section. So we're literally going to create a footer include.php file. We're going to put this up here, new file, stick that in there. We're going to cut this out, right? Our closing body and HTML tags, which are opened in the header include. I'm going to just take that away, clean this up real quick. I'm going to hit save. Now if I come out and I look at it and I refresh, you'll see that we're missing everything down here below. And that's again because we cut it all out, and it's finding the file, but inside our file is nothing more than just a basic HTML document. So we'll paste that footer code in there that we had in there, and we'll hit save again, and we'll go out and we'll look, and our footer should be back. Awesome. So we did the index.php, and now if you see, we want to roll over, we want to get to these 3 pages, and we can see now that they're not doing that because we don't have the 2xx, and we're just going to go with the 2xx for here now. So our next step. Our next step is we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at our love page. Let's close the footer and the header. And the beautiful part about this at this point is what we can do is let's just go ahead and rename our love page to PHP. Now if you're using Dreamweaver, it's going to prompt me to update anywhere in the site that love.html is with love.php. And so when I click that, there's my prompt. It's showing me because I have links in all those pages. And I'm going to go ahead and use that because I don't want to have to go in every one of those pages and update love.html to love.php. If you choose not to update them, you're going to have broken links. Your pages aren't going to work and you're going to have to go update them. So we'll go ahead, update. It's fixing all those pages, and while it's doing that, you can see it's also pushing out. And you can see because I'm in Git view, it's actually showing me that they were modified. And if we understand Git well enough, as far as Git's concerned, we deleted the love.html page and we replaced it with, we put in a new page of love.php. So now when I open up the love.php, and if we go look, we'll see what I was talking about, where now I refresh the index. We can see that the page is gone. It was taking cache, had to, let's get our inspector open. Let's clear the cache because it was keeping that information. So now if we go to love, we got love.php. We go to who, it's still HTML, but we can see that love was updated in any page that we go to. When we click on love, it takes us to love.php instead of love.html. Awesome. So now at this point, when we go to love, it looks good. We'll click on it, and for some reason, it did not update in the index page. So let's go take care of that real quick. Oh, it did not include in here in the include page. So we fix that, we're good. So at this point, if we come back out and we go to, it should take us there we go. So make sure you update it in your menu in your header include as well. So now we have our love page, and honestly, because there's nothing special in there that's outside the ordinary, the funny thing is at this point, we could literally copy the code that's in our index, select all, and paste, and save. Now we can see that our page is drawing out the way that our index page is drawing out. And now let's go ahead and do the who. Again, very simple process. We'll go down to who. We'll rename that from HTML to PHP. Update them all. It's not finding it in the include file, so we need to make sure that we go in that include file and update who as well. It's just updating all the different pages and then pushing them to the server. And we can see now who is in green. So it's kind of nice working with it as well. You know, there's different things about the colors and stuff like that that can help you. We're going to update our who link in here. And while we're at it, why don't we just go ahead and do that to challenges and you, because we're just doing the top level. All right, so we got all of that. Let's go change our you to PHP. Alright, so that one's done, our you is done. And the next thing that we want to do is, I just got a lazy finger in here and hit tab and add it. So then the last page we want to do is challenges. And we'll let all that update as well. Alright, so they're updated. We'll go out and take a look now. We see that who is missing. Go ahead and put that to PHP. And when we go to our who page, we haven't flipped it over yet. We're not using the include yet, so we're not going to see that header. Same with challenges, same with you. So let's go ahead now at this point. We can close the header file. We have the love. We can just copy what's in there. Eventually what you'll see us do is we'll actually just eliminate the pages and use PHP to dynamically create them even more. But for now, we're just going to stick to the plan, and we'll save the challenges page. The who, we're going to select all, save. The you, select all, paste, and we're using those includes, remember that again. And remember, so theoretically what's happening here is the head, the HTML document's being opened, the body tag is being opened, the menu's in there, and then we start our section. Then after our section, this is pulling in the closing HTML body and footer elements and tags. But for now, where we should be is we should be able to come out here and do a refresh on you, and we can see that that has changed. We can go to challenges, we can see that that has changed. Who, we can see that that has changed. Love, we can see that that has changed. So awesome. So at this point, that gives us our 4 pages. We're at a good place to stop, and we'll come in and we'll go ahead and pick up where we left off next time. But what we'll see is that we're not going to recreate all of these pages. This is more just an example to show you how to use require once or include or require, which are all basically kind of the same thing with different results, as we'll learn as we continue moving forward. But one thing that you'll see that's in common is, why should we create all these pages if all this is basically the same, and how do we change this in the middle? And that's going to start coming, because what we're going to end up doing is eliminating the majority of these pages, and all we'll really see is the index page by the time we're done. So until next time, I'll see you. We'll move on to the next video and do our merge.